forecast didn't just call for snow, it called for a total shutdown. A massive winter storm is slamming the Ozarks, and while most people are headed home for their fireplaces, I'm heading the opposite direction. Pit stop for supplies. When you're camping at 0 degrees with 0 external heat, your body is the only furnace you've got. My supplies are loaded up, and my Sienna is now eating up this fresh powder as I push deeper into the Missouri Ozarks. The further I go, the more the civilized world disappears. I'm looking for my frozen oasis, a spot deep enough to feel the isolation, but level enough to call home for the night. The storm is officially moving in, the light is fading, and once I park, the engine stays off, no heater, no idling, just me and the quiet of the woods. Well guys, I'm getting started a little later than I wanted to today, but this is the first real snow of the 2025-2026 winter season, and I have been itching to get out and go camping, and now's my chance, so I've got to take it. There's a spot right here that looks like it could be a perfect spot, but I know there's a few more down here that are a little wider. So I'm gonna go ahead and head down this trail just a little further. It's about to get dark, and I'm trying to get to my site before it gets dark because I want to get set for the night while I have a little bit of sunset remaining. And tonight's challenge is going to be to sleep in the van with no heat. I bought a brand new sleeping bag, I'll share with you guys in a few minutes, that is supposed to be rated to negative 60 degrees Fahrenheit. If that thing works, it could be the answer to all of my minivan camping frozen adventure problems. So I don't really talk too much about the minivan's capability, but if you are wondering, I do have Falken Wild Peak tires. They are 3-peak mountain snowflake rated. So they're not exactly snow tires, but they do conform very well to the snow. So I'm using that capability. And then of course I have my lifted minivan, which is allowing me to not drag too much of my front end as I go over and through all these bumps. So I did previously have another minivan that was not this capable, and there's no way I would have been able to get where I'm going right now in that minivan, but I've got the capability now, so I might as well get out and enjoy it. It's so cold right now that my defrost can barely keep up with the windshield, and occasionally I'm turning that fan off so that I can talk with you guys, but that is further compounding the problem. Here we are, we're at, actually this is a very nice campsite. I have used this a couple times in the past. Love this spot, very secluded, a place where I can come out and enjoy basically anything I want to do out here. But I'm letting the van stay warm right now because I didn't have enough time to put on my base layer before I got started today. And so in a minute here, I'm gonna get in, put my base layer on, and then show you guys that sleeping bag I've been talking about. The only thing that kind of scares me out in this spot is there are several very tall trees around me. These tall trees, you know, they're not maintained. So one of these trees could fall down in the middle of the night. And in fact, I'm just now realizing that I parked right under a very precarious tree. That tree right there, L-shaped, right on top of the van. So I'm gonna have to reposition. I definitely don't feel safe with that thing above me, especially not as those temperatures are gonna drop down to 0 degrees Fahrenheit today. So let me get this fixed up. So the hardest part actually about finding a good site out here in the forest is finding a spot that's level. And now I've got that tree. If it does fall, it's not gonna fall on the van. It's about 5-10 feet this way. There is no perfect solution. It's not like I could just come out here and there's gonna be a spot that has no trees. But let's get that base layer put on, and then I can show you guys this massive sleeping bag that I have. So I'm definitely trying not to track too much snow into the van, because every bit of snow that I bring in is gonna make my carpet wet. I'm trying to isolate that wet problem right there by the door. So let me get comfortable. I've got that same base layer that I had last time I camped. It's cleaned up. And by the way, thank you guys so much for all the tips. I got some wax on this shirt last time I went camping, and the trick that worked for me was just simply, I used really hot water. I let it kind of just run over it. It softened up that wax. And then I just threw this thing in the washer with like a steam cycle. It came out pretty much perfect. So lots of good tips there. Ironing, all this kind of stuff. Super excited about that. And also, before I get too comfortable, I want to go ahead and get these lights turned on. That way I just have a little bit better lighting arrangement in here. Blue or red, which do you prefer? I kind of like the red because it at least makes me feel like I'm warm, even if I am in fact not warm at all. So last thing that I'm going to do before I show you guys the sleeping bag is, of course, put on my base layer. I'm not going to bore you guys with that, so let me get it on. And that is, of course, it. I've got my thermal pants on under my pants, and then I've got my thermal top on under my top here. But this is the Wiggy's Antarctic sleeping bag, and this thing is massive. I spent about 240 bucks on this, and the reason I was super excited when I came across it is over the last few months I've been obsessing about finding the perfect sleeping bag. I do, of course, love to sleep in the minivan without any heat, and I've tried a Walmart bag that is rated down to, I believe, 10 degrees Fahrenheit. I've tried a military sleep system rated down to minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit. And then the one that I have here is rated to minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit. In fact, you can get an outer garment or an outer bag that goes over this, and that will make the combined rated minus 80 degrees Fahrenheit, which to me is absolutely wild. And this one is called the Wiggy's. It's handmade here in the United States of America, and the insulation material is called lamellite. So it's not a traditional sleeping bag material that I am familiar with. And I have not slept with this before, but the cool thing about this sleeping bag is it does come with a lamellite pillow. So I don't know, maybe I'll replace my little cheetah camo pillow with this. They're about the same size. This one's memory foam. This gets rock hard when it's frozen. And this one has that material that essentially absorbs your heat, and it actually can keep you much warmer. So I'm definitely going to try that tonight. But this sleeping bag right here is massive. I compared it to that surplus military sleep system, and that thing balled up with just those two layers is about this size. If I added that third layer, that bivy cover, it would still only be maybe a few inches larger. But this thing is the size of a duffel bag. This is a massive sleeping bag. So as I go through tonight, I just want to point out, and I say this, or maybe I haven't said this enough, I am by no means a professional camper. I just love getting out, trying these experiments. In this case, these last few months, it's been about the sleeping bags, but I do summer camping, all kinds of other camping. The reason I'm saying this is I don't always do it right, and I've learned the most over the last couple months through the comments section. So folks share like, hey, how do they stay warm, or what are their tips? I mean, it's so bad that in one of my first videos, I camped without my socks on. I got pretty beat up for that. My last video, I camped without putting up my shades, and the shades are actually also important, not just for privacy, but they do add a little bit of insulation just here to the windows. So they're not going to give me perfect insulation, but maybe they'll help keep the van a couple of degrees warmer inside. I'm going to check in a few minutes here and see how is the temperature holding up outside, how is the temperature holding up inside now that the van is off. But let me get these shades up so that we can definitely conserve as much heat as possible. Because for tonight's trip, I actually do not have a heater with me. I don't have any heated blankets with me. My goal is to literally either wake up frozen or comfortable with this Wiggy's -60 degree bag. And just sitting on it, I think I'm gonna have some luck. The van did just get shut off. It was fully warmed up. I did that so I could fully defrost that windshield and of course get fully comfortable before I shut it off. But as the temperatures drop inside this van, I'm gonna realize very quickly, do I need to spend the entire night hunkered down in that sleeping bag? Or am I gonna be able to move around, maybe make a cup of coffee, maybe have a little snack before I go to bed? I also, just in case you're curious, I always sleep with my windows just cracked, really just about 1 inch each. Oops. Another topic that I basically obsessed about is the air quality in the minivan while I'm camping in it. If the windows are completely closed, carbon dioxide, which is your byproduct of breathing, does build up relatively quickly. Within an hour or two, you're at close to 5,000 parts per million plus, which that's the maximum that my meter can read. And that's where OSHA says you can start to feel headaches and things like that. So if at all possible, make sure you have a little bit of windows cracked. That way you can circulate out that carbon dioxide for fresh oxygen. This is not carbon monoxide, which is the byproduct of, for example, exhaust or things lean burning. That is not what I'm worried about here. But just overall, the air quality itself, you definitely want to have some fresh air so that you can sleep very comfortably. So check it out, my Wiggy sleeping bag here. The loft is absolutely insane. If I don't touch it, it feels like it's about that thick, which that is a ton of loft. There's a nice zipper. The zipper does not get snagged at all as I open it or close it. And then there's a really good baffle right here. This baffle, again, very thick baffle, will certainly keep all of your air trapped inside. Now, I have been saying this is a very strong and thick sleeping bag. The bottom, of course, because the bottom is going to get compressed while you sleep on it, is maybe about 1/5 or even 1/10. So much thinner. The loft is much thinner on that bottom layer. Again, that's going to go on my mattress, so not a big worry for me, but that top is absolutely massive. And then, of course, I do want to let you guys know that this is not a sponsored video. I saw that this sleeping bag was an option. I was super interested in it, so I bought it so I could try it out. The whole point of this channel is to try things out, share them with you guys. It is not to do sales or any of that kind of stuff. I have another channel designed for that purpose. This is really to just show these things in action, see how they work. And in fact, I enjoy this much more than doing traditional gear reviews. And as I've shifted my focus more and more towards this channel, honestly, I've enjoyed my life so much more now that I'm not doing traditional gear reviews. If you know what I'm talking about, this makes sense. Otherwise, welcome here to an Overland minivan. I've only been sitting in the van for maybe an hour, and that front windshield, that thing is already super foggy. So my biggest problem actually sleeping in the van has been that windshield gets foggy every night. It freezes up, and then when I start defrosting it, it just starts to drip all over the dash. And if I don't defrost it perfectly every time, then it leaves little water spots on the windshield. Not something that I am super happy about, but also not something I can do anything about. The funny thing is, where I crack those two windows, it usually has zero fog on it. But of course, I can't crack the front windshield. And with these on right here, the windows don't get as bad on the far side or in between the glass and in between this felt. But that felt itself does get pretty wet. So there are a few factors to think of if you're camping in a minivan, especially in these colder weathers, in these colder climates. So I have been settled here, and the temperature inside of the van has dropped down to about 53 degrees Fahrenheit, 10 degrees Fahrenheit outside. And for my everybody else in the world, non-American friends, negative 12 degrees Celsius outside, 12 degrees Celsius inside. The temperatures do feel like they are rapidly dropping, and I think for me to save as much body heat as possible, I will go ahead and get in my bag. Oh, this thing is massive. This thing is insanely thick. I have honestly never been in anything. Oh, wow. I am excited for this thing tonight. That is crazy. I've never been in anything this thick before. It honestly feels like I'm inside of a cocoon. It feels super warm. I think my goal should be to just, as much as possible, stay inside of this bag throughout the night. That way I don't freeze. It's only 6:30. So I think while I've got all this extra time, I do want to talk about one topic that comes up in the comments pretty frequently on this channel. And it all boils down to this. This is a hobby for me. Minivan camping is a hobby. I have a home. I, don't do this every night. This is my daily driver vehicle. So I get to dream about minivan camping all week while I work. And then I get to come out and do the camping adventures and try to share them with you guys when I'm not working. I've got limited time left till I'm done with my job. So maybe when I'm done, I might go full time, but I also have a family. So I'm not, I do solo camping, and that's not, necessarily a family thing. It's just a way for me to get out, enjoy myself, clear my head. I love it. My family doesn't have a problem with it. And I promise you, I spend plenty of time doing a lot of things with them. For me, the most important thing to understand there is a lot of people are like, oh, you're glorifying homelessness or something like that. But on the other hand, if I was in like a Jeep and I was just overland camping in a Jeep, nobody would even really care. They'd be like, oh, he's out there enjoying an adventure. If you're new here, a lot of folks love minivan camping. If you love minivan camping, give me a quick thumbs up on this video. But it's not a political statement. It's not about the state of the economy. That's another one in that topic. Everybody's like, hey, the economy this, the economy that. Believe it or not, some folks actually love getting out, camping in their minivans just for the fun of it. Hey, maybe they're traveling across country. They don't want to spend $100, $200, $300 a night in a hotel when they already have something that they can sufficiently camp in. I do use this when I go on road trips for work because I absolutely love it. But it's not a necessity. And even if it was, to be honest, single people, if they fit in here and they like it, why hate on someone that enjoys camping in their van? So the point is, I don't like to censor the comments unless they're hateful to someone else or disrespectful to someone else. For example, bullying, things like that. This is a no bullying zone. So if you don't appreciate what somebody says, or if you don't like someone else's opinion, just respectfully share, your disagreement with them without resorting to being, a 3-year-old. So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching these videos. Let's get back to this camping adventure. So what I want to do now is just see how does it feel to just lay fully in this bag. And it is definitely super thick. This is a thick bag. So I don't have any doubts for tonight with this because this is just so thick that, wow, this is a massive bag. That's really all I can say about it. And I think I need to talk about something I said earlier, which was single people. Now, keep in mind, this is a small spot. So for me, one person is basically really the max you want in a minivan. Now, I do see, young couples or couples camping in their minivans. Hey, you can definitely be comfortable, but you got to be comfortable being enclosed in essentially a double-sized coffin with somebody nonstop. And if you can manage that, you'll be fine. So for me, one person, if you're going with more and you have the means, you may consider upgrading to a larger vehicle or even a school bus or something. Again, people are in their own circumstances and they got to deal with what they got to deal with. But for me, if you have the option, something bigger for sure if you're going more than one person. Now, if it's just like an overnighter or a couple nights, hey, maybe 2 or 3 people sitting in these seats upright, that's not comfortable, but you can manage that. But really, like I said, long term, not a good solution. I mean, it is what it is, though. So one thing I am starting to realize is I am sleeping on a memory foam mattress, and the memory foam mattresses, if you're familiar with them, they get rock solid when they start to freeze. This van was cold all day, so my mattress is still cold just from being cold. So the heater, when I came out here, did not warm it up. The reason I'm pointing that out is even with this massive sleeping bag, without anything truly insulating me from that memory foam mattress, I can feel a little bit of my heat getting sapped out of the bag and into that mattress. So it'll either catch up and my body will eventually warm that space up and then make it comfortable, or depending on how bad this mattress is, it could just pull my body heat all night long. And that's going to be potentially the source of where I start to feel a little discomfort throughout the night as my body heat just gets sucked down into the mattress. And by the way, if you have something that you're interested in seeing me do in the minivan camper, something you'd like me to test out just to see how it works, let me know. I've got ideas to do more heaters, more sleeping bags, more really just little tests. I love doing these kind of tests. I think that's kind of my personality, right? As I'm moving around, I'm really starting to realize that my van is tilted a little bit to the right. So I may have to reposition one more time. Otherwise, I'm going to spend all night just shifting off of my bed like this. And I may have mentioned it before, but camping in your van, one of the hardest things to do, especially out here in the woods, it's not a parking lot, is to find a spot that is perfectly level. It's just about 9:30 in the evening. It is now 4 degrees Fahrenheit outside, and we have actually still a reasonable 40 degrees Fahrenheit inside here. So I'm surprised how warm it still is inside the van with really just my body heat kind of maintaining the temperature in here because I don't have any other heat sources. But that's enough talking. I think I am gonna get in my bed here, get some sleep, and then I will either wake up in the middle of the night and report to you guys how I feel, or maybe if I'm lucky, I'll sleep through the night like a baby. Anyway, good night, everybody, and I'll see you in the morning. All right, guys, it's almost 5:30 a.m. I slept pretty good for the most part. It's surprisingly, it never really got too much below 32 degrees Fahrenheit inside the van. I'm not gonna lie, I am actually still kind of cold, but it's not exactly for the reason that I expected. My feet are warm, my body down below like my waist, my belly area, that's pretty warm. But this bag, if you can tell, it has a massive kind of hole right here where a lot of my heat is escaping out of this area. So I really wish this bag had a drawstring. Maybe there's something missing that I'm not aware of, but it just doesn't trap the heat in right here. So Some ways to kind of work with that would have been maybe if I wore my jacket, because this is massive. This is a massive bag. It's got plenty of space inside of it for extra stuff, but I would definitely call that a pass. I am not cold. My feet are not cold. My legs are not cold. Never got down to negative anything. So 0 degrees outside, 32 degrees Fahrenheit inside. Let me get the vehicle warmed up, get myself some coffee. Well, guys, this is extremely disappointing. My coffee maker is just not brewing. I've tried several times to reset it, get it going, but it's just not working for me. So I'm gonna hit the road and see if I can get a fresh cup. Oh, maybe it is working. Just started pulling some massive power, so let's see here if it starts brewing in a second. Oh, success. I thought I was gonna have to hit the road without any coffee, and that would not be ideal for me. I'm an absolute coffee lover. In fact, I did find my piece last week for my Keurig. I'm gonna get this thing swapped out for my next trip and put that more reliable coffee maker. It literally took this thing 10 minutes to brew just 1 cup of coffee. But maybe now that it's warmed up, I'll have success with my second cup. So I was trying to figure out why would it actually be so warm in here relative to outside. And I honestly think these shades, these window shades, oh wow, that thing is frozen, did some insulation, or provided some insulation that helped me stay just a little warmer here inside of the van. So, and they're like a reflective style material, maybe even a little thicker, a little denser foam. So they help actually quite a bit keeping it warm inside of the van. Unfortunately, all that frost right there is actually inside of the windows, so plenty of moisture problems, even with the windows cracked just a little bit. It is something that have not been able to crack every window, the entire van, except for just exactly where those 2 windows are cracked, is frosted. And it's been snowing and icing all night. So in a minute here, once I get thoroughly warmed up, I'm gonna check out and see how does it look outside. Is the van actually ready to get out of this forest road area? I wanted to close this out by giving this bag an 8 out of a 10. I don't know, it's got great loft, it feels great, it keeps you warm, but I feel like to make this bag more perfect, having a cinch that do a great job of actually keeping that heat that's already trapped by the bag in around your neck and shoulders. Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching the video. If you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up, and I'll catch you in my next adventure. It snowed much more than I expected last night. Got probably 5 inches on top of the van, and now I feel like it's time for me to at least attempt to get out of this little valley that I'm in.